We're making the best tasting gluten-free English muffins that don't require any yeast or rising. They are full of flavor and higher in protein with Greek yogurt, and my easy recipe can be made with a variety of flours. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes to our favorite foods, then you are in the right place. To make these really easy English muffins, we're going to start by using Greek yogurt, and it's important that you don't use regular yogurt because it's not thick enough. So we're going to start with 2/3 of a cup of some plain Greek yogurt, and you could use full fat or low fat or non-fat or whatever your preference. Next, I'll add 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, which is going to give a little more lift to the muffins. And this is optional, but if you'd like to give a little subtle sweet flavor to your muffins, you can add either some maple syrup or some honey. So I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. And I'll just give these a quick stir until they're well combined. Now for the flour, I'm going to show you how to make them with oat flour, but you can make them with a variety of flours. And I've included a chart on the recipe page on my website that shows you all the measurements. So if you click on the link in the video description below, it'll take you right to the recipe. And for the oat flour, you could either use store-bought or you can grind your own. All you have to do is take some old-fashioned or quick oats, put them in a high-speed blender, and blend them for about 30 seconds until you have a really fine flour. So I'm going to add 1 cup of oat flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. You'll need to make sure your baking powder is fresh or your muffins will not rise. And 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/4 teaspoon salt. And we're just going to mix these together with our spatula. And I like using a spatula because it's really easy to just kind of mash the yogurt into the flour. And we're just going to keep mixing until we have all the flour picked up off the bottom of the bowl. And you'll know you have the right consistency when you can kind of scrape the dough off with your spatula, and then it's just lightly sticky to the touch. If your dough is too sticky, you can go ahead and add a little more flour, and if it's too dry, go ahead and add just a little bit of Greek yogurt. And then once I have it all mixed together, I'll go ahead and just kind of visually divide it into 4 pieces for our 4 English muffins. But if you'd like it to be more precise, you could always measure these out with a scale. Now to get that classic English muffin texture, I'm going to go ahead and take some cornmeal and then just sprinkle about a tablespoon or so into a sheet pan. And then to form our English muffins, we don't want to add any more flour because we want them to stay nice and soft. So I'm just going to take some light olive oil and pour some in my hands and then rub that around so they're nice and slippery. Then I'll just take 1 portion of my dough and roll it into a nice soft ball. And I'll just kind of pat it down into my English muffin shape. Then I'll just set it down into the cornmeal, flip it over, get a little on the other side. Now these muffins can be whatever shape you'd like them to be, and they do not have to be perfectly round. But if you would like to get a really nice round edge on your English muffin, you can just take a round cookie cutter that is a little bit bigger than your English muffin. And then I'm just going to swirl this around in my pan. And the swirling motion will round out the shape. So now we have this perfectly round English muffin. So I'll go ahead and move this to the side and continue with the rest of the muffins. And if you'd like to receive more healthy inspiration on a regular basis, I invite you to join my email list. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, and that is the best way for us to stay connected. Now that these are all shaped, we could bake them in our oven, but then they would have more of like a bun shape to them. So instead, we're going to cook them in a frying pan, and that's going to allow us to flip them over so we get that nice flat toasted surface on the top and the bottom. So to cook the English muffins, I'm using my Hexclad pan because it gives me the best of cast iron and non-stick. But any non-stick or cast iron pan will work great. And then I'm going to spray just a little bit of coconut oil in the bottom of my pan. And you'll want to set your heat to a medium low. Then we'll place our muffins inside, give them a little bit of distance from each other. And then we're going to cover these with a lid and let them cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. And the lid is going to help lock in all of the steam so that they cook through. And we're using the low heat so they'll toast on the bottom as well as cook through the muffin. So I'm just going to let this sit, but then come and check them around 7 minutes. And as soon as that bottom is nice and toasty, we'll go ahead and just flip them over. So these have been cooking for about 10 minutes, and you can see they've gotten nice and puffy and round. So we're going to go ahead and flip these over. You can see they're just nice and lightly toasted on the bottom. Now we'll go ahead and put our lid back on and then let this cook for about another 8 to 10 minutes or until the bottoms are nicely toasted. Well, it's been another 10 minutes and you can see a little bit of steam coming out from our muffins. I'll go ahead and transfer these to my cooling rack. Now you want to let these cool before you slice them in half. Now you have 2 options for slicing your English muffins. You could either take it and kind of dig your thumbs in all around the sides and then kind of tear it open to get that really bumpy interior, or you can just cut it nice and clean with a knife. But I actually like to do a hybrid of both. So I'm going to take my knife and just kind of score the edge, being careful not to cut through the muffin. And then I'll take the point of my knife and just kind of push it through so it cuts through the center, but it's only making a very narrow little slice. And then I'm gonna use that part as my guide as I gently tear it open. So now I get roughly the same amount of bread on both halves of the muffin, and it has that really nice, bumpy, soft interior. So you can add your toppings or enjoy them as is. That is so good. I love the flavor coming in from the oats and the little bit of cornmeal, and it has just a touch of sweetness from the maple syrup. And I love that it's made with clean, natural ingredients, which means I'm gonna feel just as good even after I eat it. And I want you to know that I believe in you and your ability to eat those healthier foods that will leave you feeling fantastic from the inside out. And I'm here to support you in any way that I can. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen. And I've included a link to the full recipe in the video description below, which takes you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.